Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review of an 80s horror film. This time it is the original Prom Night. This is the Blu-ray from Synapse Films. Now, this is a slasher film starring Jamie Lee Curtis. You also have Leslie Nielsen in a small role. Jeff Wincott, the martial artist. I always forget he has a small part in this as well. Because I always remember him from the action movies. I'm like, is that Jeff Wincott? Yeah, it is. But the movie's directed by a guy named Paul Lynch. And this is definitely from the success of Halloween and Friday the 13th. And I'm not sure if Friday the 13th had come out yet. This is probably more influential from the success of Halloween. And one day I'll talk about the sequels and the remake, but for the first film, it's a time waster. I don't love the film. I don't hate the film, but I don't love the film. Pretty much the setup is, at the beginning, you have these kids playing hide and seek in this abandoned place. One girl tries to play along, but she gets teased and pushed around and gets scared into accidentally going out the window to her death. The kids decide to have a vow of silence and not tell anyone what really happened. Of course, what's funny is that there's a moment where she's laying dead. She has like blood on her neck, and before it cuts, I could see her breathing. I could see the chest rise up. So, I'm like, wait a minute. But anyway, 6 years later, the girl that died, she had a brother and sister who are now grown up. The brother and sister, I forget the guy's name, but the sister is Jamie Lee Curtis, who's our lead. And they're getting ready for the prom. Their dad is Leslie Nielsen, who's the principal. And pretty much the girls who were back then the cause of that accident, and Jamie Lee Curtis and, well, at this point, the brother, at least you're supposed to think the brother, don't know what really happened to their sister. They don't know that their friends, when kids, killed her. Granted, it was an accident, but still. But those girls, they get phone calls. Jeff Wincott, he's actually the boyfriend of one of those girls. This is a movie that I know is mentioned in pop culture as having red herrings, mainly in Scream, when Jamie Kennedy's like, they watch Prom Night, they save time. There's a very simple formula. Everyone's a suspect. Which is not really the case in this movie when you think about it. Because, like, one of the problems, they spent a lot of time on this red herring of, oh, we found this person. And it's like, well, we the audience know it's not that person because we saw who actually killed her. And yeah, this person was chased and was heavily burned. Now he's in the hospital. And then he's out now. But then I'm thinking, well, so what? Don't you think it's kind of weird that he's going after only the people that killed the little girl at the beginning? How the fuck would this guy know? This guy wouldn't fucking know about it. And if he did, he would fucking tell them, hey, these are the kids who did it. Right? These kids pushed the girl out. He'd tell them what happened. So if he saw it, he'd just go, this is what happened. These kids pushed this little girl out the window. Which means he didn't see it. So if he didn't see it, then why the fuck would he only be calling these specific people? Doesn't make any sense because the red herring is bullshit. So all this red herring, going to the guy at the hospital, looking at this guy who has all these bandages, it doesn't work because can anyone honestly tell me, even during the first time watching this, that you thought that this one guy was the killer? No. There was... At least My Bloody Valentine from 81 did that a little bit better, because you could buy that it was done better. I mean, we didn't really see who killed the people in his past history, like we did here, where we saw it's the little kids that did it. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I would say the only things I liked about the film was Jamie Lee Curtis. She does a good job. Usually she does a good job in these kind of movies. Even that new Halloween film, I didn't like the new Halloween film, but Jamie Lee Curtis' acting wasn't the problem. Jamie Lee Curtis' performance, the kind of fun in its own right disco songs, Prom Night, gonna be alright, and the disco dancing, and the glitter dome of lights at the prom, kind of a fun trip back through time. Interesting to see Jeff Wincott in an early role, where he's not, fighting and punching someone and kicking someone in the face. Cool to see Leslie Nielsen, although I never understood why he disappeared in the third act of the film. Like, he completely disappears. Even though, A, he's the principal, B, he was at the prom, C, he's the father of Jamie Lee Curtis and someone else very important. But the third act, no Leslie Nielsen. I always thought that was weird that his character just completely disappeared. When it's like, he's one of the... He's like the first name on the call sheet. If you look at the end credits, he's like the first name that pops up, Leslie Nielsen. But he's nowhere in the third act. Even though he would be, you would think, essential considering what happens. But I mean, other than those elements, the other characters, I can't really say I cared about them one way or another. Jamie Lee Curtis' boyfriend in the film, who is one of the kids who did the accident back in the day, he wasn't bad. At least in the character, at least he was trying to tell Jamie Lee Curtis, and at least there's a bit of remorse and guilt. And the actor wasn't that bad. But the rest of the characters, take them or leave them, whether they live or die, whatever. The kills, one gets slit in the throat and you don't really see it because the camera focuses on her eyes and she gets slit by a mirror shard. One gets hacked to death, but you don't see anything because it cuts away. One is when the girl's in the back of a van, the door's open, her neck goes like... gets stabbed, but you don't see the penetration of the stabbing, you just see the aftermath. And then this one guy's in the van and, kicks the killer out, and then accidentally drives the van off the damn cliff. I mean, really the one gory moment is this guy who gets decapitated, which is a good kill. But really, that's the only kill of note that anyone would ever remember in this film, the decapitation. And I mean, it tried to have a little bit of a heart at the end at least, where you find out that the killer is the brother, and when he dies, just the killer just wears a ski mask, puts the ski mask off, and the brothers tell him about, they killed her. They killed our sister. And he found out that when he was a boy, he saw his sister's death. So at least the movie tried to have a little bit of a pathos for the killer, and also follow a little bit of internal logic where, at the end, the killer doesn't all of a sudden try to attack Jamie Lee Curtis. If it did, then in retrospect, it'd be like, well, wait a minute, you want to get revenge for the people who kill your sister, but yet you're trying to kill your other sister? They don't do that, which I give credit to, because some movies would do that. But then by doing that, it causes more problems because your lead character is never in danger. And think about it, Jamie Lee Curtis is never in danger in this film. She's never stalked. She never is. I mean, she only gets scared because she sees a decapitated head, but it kind of does hurt a film when your lead character has no danger to her from the killer. There's no chases. There's no really battle. I mean, there's kind of a battle, but the killer's never really battling her. It's just he throws her off and goes after the boyfriend again and again. So that's a very weird, kind of off-putting thing too. I mean, within the story it made sense because, it's the brother character getting revenge for his other sisters, so he's not going to go after his living sister. I get that, but again, it's just, by doing that, it creates a weird conundrum. Like I said, your lead never being in danger. And also Leslie Nielsen, he's the father of Jamie Lee Curtis, who's being attacked. He's the father of, you find out him, since you find out that's her brother. Funny enough, I mean, next year you find out Jamie Lee Curtis had another slasher brother, Michael Myers. Think about that. The slasher is her brother in this movie, and the slasher Halloween 2 is her brother in that movie. Surprised the slasher in Terror Train wasn't her brother as well. But see, okay, Terror Train. Terror Train, I just say I liked a lot more than this. Like, Terror Train, I thought the kills had a little bit more to them. Maybe not gore-wise, but interest-wise, impactful-wise, like a guy being smashed against the mirror, the whole, switching costumes, being on a train, so the setting was a bit different. There is your character, your lead character is in danger, and there's a nice battle at the end. Here, not so much. But I don't hate the film. Like I said, the disco songs are fun to listen to in a retro way. Jamie Lee Curtis does a nice job acting-wise. They try to give a little bit of pathos to the killer, which, considering the setup and the circumstances, I didn't mind. Interesting to see Jeff Wincott in an early role. The decapitation scene was a fun little kill. And it's not a long movie. It's only 93 minutes long. And it does have good features. I mean, it has commentary with director Paul Lynch. Has a pretty lengthy making of, where they interviewed quite a few people, including Jeff Wincott. Never before seen outtakes from Prom Night, radio spots, trailers, TV spots. And it's the best I've seen the film look, because I remember older DVD copies, the film was really dark, that you couldn't see. They definitely did a nice job I don't want to say fixing the film, but restoring the film. So I mean, I'll still keep it for the features and Jamie Lee Curtis. And again, there are much worse slasher films out there. It's just this is not a slasher film that would be in my top 10 80s slasher. Or I would say even of Jamie Lee Curtis, I like Halloween 2 more. I like Halloween 1 more. I like Terror Train more. It's not a slasher, but I like The Fog more. I like Road Games a lot more. So just of the early films Jamie Lee Curtis started in this genre, Prom Night is probably my least favorite, but not a bad film. I I gotta end with that one question. What the fuck happened to Leslie Nielsen's character at the end of the movie? Maybe he's taking a long piss, the character. He ate tacos earlier and he was taking a long shit. So I could just imagine when he gets out of the shitter, oh, by the way, your daughter was attacked and your son is dead. And by the way, your son was also a killer. And oh, by the way, the boyfriend of your daughter, he was one of the kids who helped kill your other daughter. Be a hell of a thing for Leslie Nielsen when he gets back to school. Or gets out of the shit or wherever the hell Leslie Nielsen was at. That always bothered me ever since I first saw it. It's like, they should have at least had the character come back or reappear or something. But, I don't know. I just always thought it was weird. Like, where's Leslie Nielsen? Because I love Leslie Nielsen. Airplane and the Naked Gun films and Dracula Dead in Love in it. And it was cool to see him in the movie. Just sad that he disappears. Maybe they only had him for a few days, but then, the ending would be an important thing to shoot for one of those few days you had him, if that's the case. I don't know what the case is. That's one thing I would love to ask the director. Why did the father disappear out of thin air when he was at the prom? But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you in the next video. Later.